At 500K, do you think that spending your 60K a month will get you there? Or what do you need to, as far as marketing?
For us, PPC has been between a 5 and a 6x return. So we're going to need to increase marketing.
You'll need to spend about 100K a month.
If you took it all away from me right now, I would get on a PPL company. I would get them to start just shoveling me leads. That is the fastest way to get your first deal, in my opinion. You never have a spending problem. You only have an earning problem.
What is your sales process like nationwide?
So it's...
What's up, well builders? Today I've got a guy who's done deals in all 50 states and continues to crush deals all across the country. I'm ready to pick his brain because we've just been doing nationwide starting this year. And so I want to learn all the tips, tricks, and secrets. I've got Nick Perry. What's up?
Hey, man, dude, honored and excited to be on here, and happy to help any way I can.
Yeah, so before we get started, dude, you just got married yesterday, and then you're spending your honeymoon here in the studio. What's going on here?
Dude, as an entrepreneur, no place I'd rather be than Ryan Pineda's studio for my honeymoon. No, it just worked out. We were on the Vegas Strip, and my great friend of mine, he's ordained minister. Shout out to Chris Lee.
Yep, he's been on.
Listening. Yep. So Chris Lee, one of the guests, he's an ordained minister. If you guys need somebody, did a phenomenal job. He said, Nick, well, why haven't you got married yet? Me and my girlfriend, we've been together for 3.5 years, and we got a beautiful baby together. We got a beautiful home. And I said, well, we got family in different countries. Logistically, it's challenging.
Yeah.
He's like, well, I'm an ordained minister. Let's do it now. And so lo and behold, he officiated us right in front of Bellagio last night, and officially a married man.
There we go.
Yes.
Where'd you get your ring from?
This is an Aura ring.
There we go. Mine too.
Yeah.
There we go. Dude, that is a funny story. You know what's crazy is that's kind of how we are as entrepreneurs, where it's like someone challenges you, like you won't do it right now, and you're just like, you know what? I will do it right now.
That's right. Yeah, and it's all about decisiveness too.
Yeah.
When you're put in those situations, that's the true test of like the guys that make it and don't make it is the ones that can just make a decision and commit to it.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
So let's talk about real estate, man. You've been at this for a while now, and we were just talking pre-show, and you were saying like you started doing the nationwide thing back in 2016, and everyone told you not to do it.
Yeah, they said stay in your own backyard, or maybe do 1, 2, 3 markets max, but that doesn't make any sense. How are you going to dispo these deals? How are you going to evaluate the deals all over the country? And I was like, I don't know, but we're going to figure it out.
Yeah.
And we did.
So tell me like what the early days were like, because I'm sure there was a lot of failure early on, just like not really.
Oh, tremendous failure. Yeah. We had to pioneer the nationwide wholesaling, and so there was nobody teaching it. We were the first ones to do it, and when the reason I originally did it was because generating leads in my home cities of Austin, Houston, San Antonio, Dallas, and Texas were extremely expensive.
What were you doing like to generate leads before then?
I was running PPC, but I was spending $250, $350 a lead.
Yep.
And I was messing around one day with my campaigns, and I flipped them over to just national campaign, and I was getting leads for $2.65. And
you're like, it's going to be hard to lose.
Yeah, I was like, I don't know how we're going to monetize this, but Brandon, my CEO, said, hey, well, let's just take a shot and see what we can do. So we got our first deal in Harrisburg, Pennsylvania. Never been there, know, and I didn't know what to do when I had the contract. It was like, all right, well, what do I do? I don't have a buyer's list there. I don't know anybody, and I was able to connect the dots through social media and find a buyer and made $12,000, and that was the proof of concept. And then I did another one in Ohio, and then boom, boom, boom. We've done thousands of deals since then, and it's been a good ride.
So you've just kind of stuck with that model for the last 8 years?
Yeah, we've refined down. So we have currently we market where is the hottest. So right now, you guys know with interest rates, the way the market's going. Take for instance Florida, for example. Yeah. You asked me this time last year, Florida was one of my favorite states. Well, insurance prices have doubled there. Additionally, affordability is not there, and people can't qualify for homes like they used to. So the houses are sitting on the market in Florida, and they will not sell. It's going through a price correction right now.
Yeah.
So we pull completely out of Florida.
Got it.
Right? So we go where the pending percentage is the highest. Wherever we can get the
where it's easy to sell a deal.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Supply and demand.
Right. I mean, how often are you changing? Because I mean, like that's obviously always changing too.
It's a quarterly strategy. We do a quarterly meeting on it and make sure we're in the right areas. And
So how many
execute the
areas
plan.
would you say you're targeting now?
We're in like 6 states and then a few different, pockets around the U.S.
So when you say different pockets, so would those be as just part of the 6 states, like pockets within those 6 states?
No, like if, there's good areas in California, there's, but we don't want to do California statewide, or, there's good areas in New York, but we don't want to be in New York City. So
Right.
Yes.
Okay, got it.
Mm-hmm.
So that's kind of like been the evolution, right? You started just like, dude,
Unfiltered.
any lead. That's how we
Yeah.
started too. When we started going nationwide on Facebook, I was like, dude, we're getting leads for like less than $20. And this is this year, not,
Right.
8 years ago. But I'm like, this is crazy. And then, sure enough, you're like, dang, dude, like, I have no idea what these are worth. There's no buyers for them, But back then too, there was also like, we weren't doing novations. We didn't understand that. So it's kind of all evolved since then.
Yeah, I think a lot of people, when they go nationwide, they get really scared of rural properties.
Right.
But we make a lot of money on rural properties because, again, it all comes down to supply and demand.
So let's talk about that, because one of the things I've seen with nationwide, especially like in Texas, there's so much rural stuff. So how do you monetize those deals?
So if you're in an area that has, super rural, it has properties sitting on the market, there's no demand there, you're probably not going to be able to do anything with it.
Mm-hmm.
But you'll be surprised. There's these pockets all over the country that, there's, 100 houses on the market and 40 of them are going pending. That's a great percentage.
Right.
So you see that, that property is going to fly off the shelf if you get it under contract.
Mm-hmm.
So you have to look at that as the leading indicator. Never look at like population size or, is it rural? Is it not? That's the wrong way to look at a property.
Interesting. So you're more concerned about pending versus population.
Absolutely.
Got
Yeah.
it.
Population doesn't even make a,
Really? You just don't even care.
no, if it's, 50% pending, why would I care?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So pending is a key. What about just with comping?
Comping, I've got a super power to comp. Brandon, come over here.
just
You're
just a
getting on the
person.
pod. Yes. So Brandon, he's the CEO of our companies. I'm going to just put it out there right now. This is the nationwide GOAT at comping. I'll put him up against any realtor, any investor, anybody out there for a comping challenge. He's started comping nationwide properties in 2016 and has looked at how many properties you look at a day?
A day? Not as much as I used to. But
He's looked at enough properties to know.
You've
Like,
you've
tens of
analyzed
thousands.
thousands
I've
of
looked at 4
deals.
a day so far,
Yeah.
and we're out at a conference.
And it's 12 o'clock.
Yeah. So you just have a superhuman.
It's probably been about 40,000 houses that I've underwritten myself personally. Yeah.
But he's transferred that skill over to our team as well.
Right. He's been able to train them properly on how to
Correct.
comp.
And all of our students and our members. But he is the one that really pioneered nationwide comping and perfected it because it is an art.
It's an art.
Absolutely.
I believe it's an art. The thing is, strategies, they work only 50% of the time. So learn how to think as an investor, the judgment, what they're looking at in each area, and apply it. You can apply it anywhere else.
Right. Yeah, because one thing I've learned with the nationwide comping is like, it's crazy because, you get used to your normal market, which like here in Vegas, dude, people pay crazy money for properties. I mean, people would pay 90% of ARV, right? And then, you get to these areas where people only pay 30% of ARV. You're like, what the heck what do these people want the best deal ever? Like, I don't understand. Like, this is crazy, but that's like, is what it is.
Right. Yeah. We learned that the hard way many times before we got it right.
Yeah. It's crazy. So you guys just have done, it's really just from experience, really. Like, that's what it sounds like.
School of hard knocks. You know,
Yeah.
fail forward every day and eventually get good at it.
And I think too, like, as you said, if you go specialize in say 6 states, then you kind of already know which state is like, oh, we got to be at 50%. We got to be at 70% over here.
Yeah. I mean, but every town is different.
Right.
Even within a state is a big place.
Right.
So Brandon, give them just some quick bullet point principles they can take away. Somebody watching this right now.
Can you guys hear, but like, can you hear him on the mic? No?
Get it? Here, Brandon.
You can grab
Grab
that
it.
mic.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'll hit this real quick.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, can you hear me now? All right, cool. So for me, I start off with pendings. Pendings is the number one thing I look at. It's the number one thing I teach to start off with.
Okay.
So you're going into any market, you can be 10,000 people, which is pretty small. And if 50% of the houses are pending, that's really good.
Yeah.
So we're going to come up with a percentage, or buy percentage to start off with based off pendings. So for me, pending, 30% of the houses are pending. I start off 70%. That's like the benchmark.
You just inverse it? Is that?
No.
Oh.
It's just 30% equals 70%.
Okay.
And if it's like the high 30s, I'm probably closer to 75%
Right.
of ARV. And then from there, once I get my percentage of buy, what I do is I will give or take credit. So if it's in the hood or it's got double yellow and a curve, you got, all these things working against you, you're just starting to take away points.
Got it.
And if it's got a bunch of positives, it's a 3-2, 2004, great school district, Dallas, Texas, safe city, we're going to start adding. So you can give credit. And I go over all these little details, whenever we're teaching.
Yeah.
And our team members that work at Want to Sell Now, they look at everything. They look at the driveways. They look at the yards. They look at if we're on a grade, on a hill, and our lot's not usable.
Yeah.
Are we 15 feet away from a busy street? And they're discounting or adding, because realistically, investors know that they're going to be able to sell it for more or less
Right.
based on certain characteristics of the house.
Got it.
So we're going off of that, not the traditional realtors, CMAs, or whatever.
Really? So you're not even looking at solds?
We go more off actives up front, and then we'll look at solds as well. But I say solds for us are 30% of the equation. They just help us get the ARV. But we're looking at demand, and if you got 3 actives right now and they're all taking 180 days to sell,
Yeah.
they're also going to have it.
All right, so I understand comping. I mean, obviously, there's a lot of factors that go into it with pending, solds, just like anything else. And it's, it's kind of an art, more than a science, especially in those areas.
And it's the most important and understated skill set in our business. Everybody talks about marketing. Everybody talks about acquisitions and being good on the phones. You can have the best marketing, be the best person on the phones, but if you can't evaluate and come up with the right price to offer the seller, you're never going to make any money, or you're going to leave money on the table.
Got it. So let's talk about that, right? I mean, obviously, you already got leads, right? So we're talking about assuming you're going nationwide, you're in these markets, you're looking at the property, you're coming up with an accurate, evaluation. What is your sales process like nationwide? I mean, obviously, it's on the phones, right?
Yep, it's over the phone. So it's a 2-step call. We'll do an initial lead intake where we have our introduction, get the property condition, we'll do a setting of expectations with the seller. We'll get an initial asking price. Then we'll go into our property conditions, understand a little bit more about their situation and their motivation. Throughout the script, we're building rapport.
Yep.
And reinstating the pain and the value proposition throughout the conversation. And then once we get towards the end, we give them an offer range. We'll let them know, hey, based on what I can see, just preliminary qualification, you're going to be between 140 to 160 is probably what our underwriter is going to come in on at this property. Is that if we were able to get that towards the higher end of that range, is that something you would want to have a conversation about? So you get that soft commit. If they say yes, then we'll put them on mute, type of a DocuSign, and then get them to open up their email and sign it. Or if they say no, then that's like when we can start objection handling. And yeah.
What percentage would you say are one call closes?
That's the great thing with PPC.
Yeah.
So PPC, we have on average out of our entire database, we've got 56 or 57,000 leads in our database, all PPC.
Yeah.
And out of those, it takes 3 days on average for these deals to go under contract.
Yeah.
So compare that versus cold calling, right?
Oh, it's terrible. Cold calling's months.
Exactly.
Yeah.
90, 180 days versus 3 days. So that's the greatest thing about PPC is it shortens your cash conversion cycle.
Yeah.
So for you guys that are, getting into this business, like it's all about how fast can you turn your money.
Yeah.
Your money's sitting out there. You spent, $10,000 and you got to wait, almost 6 months to a year to get it back. You're not going to grow very fast.
Yeah. That's what I realized about. So we run both Facebook and PPC. We run more Facebook than PPC, but I see the same thing with both. Like majority are closing within 48 hours of the lead coming in.
Correct.
Now, it doesn't mean that there's nothing that can happen from follow-up or anything, but like so many of our deals are just straight up right when it comes in. And I think too, that's a byproduct of us not really following up very well, if I'm being honest, because they have so much lead flow that it's just like,
right.
they never get to it. Versus the other ones, we would like follow up monsters.
Well, we've done a really good job on our follow-up, and you're absolutely right. It is a different quality of lead. They're coming to you versus you reaching out to them on outbound. So
what do you think is going to happen with cold calling and outbound?
I think the carriers are going to continue to get stricter and stricter as AI comes into play more. It's going to just continue to crack down on any SMS and any cold calling. There's always going to be this cat and mouse game going on for a little while, but the carriers, their technology and their AI is too good. They do not want you spamming their customers.
Right.
It's a bad for them. So, they're going to get that on lock. It's already there. And then sometimes like now, like SMS is having its resurgence again after it was almost dead, but they're going to squash it again. So it's not a long-term way to build a business.
Yeah, that's what I've been saying. I was doing SMS and cold calling back in 2018, and dude, we were super successful with it. And then I just noticed as the years went on, it just kept getting harder and harder. And then I got sued for like 40 G's on cold calling, and I was like, yeah, I don't really like this.
Right.
And then, I started doing inbound with TV commercials, and I could just instantly see the difference. And the team is like, this is crazy. And, they're more happy, they're more motivated, they're more efficient because they're not talking to as much, BS leads.
Oh, man, if I gave my guys cold calling leads, they'd walk up.
They'd quit. They're like, I'm out of here, dude.
That's it.
They're spoiled.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's funny. How many guys do you have on the sales team?
16. So we're right now transitioning from Austin to Scottsdale.
Okay.
And we're growing. From that, we're hiring 8 more acquisitions.
Wow. That's a lot of people.
So we're growing significantly right now. We've built the in-house model where everybody's in the phones. It's Wolf of Wall Street, inside sales, boiler room style selling. And we're now going more towards a remote workforce where it's going to be virtual, but like in-house virtual. So we'll have a screen just like you have here.
Yep.
Where we can see them, they can see us. Yep. So it's a vibe board. We'll have them in a Discord where you can see everybody. You can communicate. You can have meetings.
So are they all in Austin right now, or were they all virtual to begin with?
Austin, we're bringing our executives out to Scottsdale, and then our Austin team will continue working from home, and then we're hiring 8 additional guys from Latin America.
So you're gonna try like VAs or selling too.
Well, I'm a VA because I live in Mexico.
There we go.
So you can call me a VA. You know what I mean? So I don't like the term VA because I think like when people think VA, they think like somebody's like sitting in like the jungle with like a laptop.
Yeah.
But the level of talent and sophistication in Latin America is incredible. So I've lived down there for the last 3 years. So I've seen firsthand. So
like
there's
these
another
people
Ryan
you've met.
Oh yeah, there's another Ryan Pineda in Colombia. There's another Nick Perry in Mexico.
Right.
They're just looking for opportunity.
And they'll work for way less.
Absolutely. So margins, labor costs, all that gets significantly better once you're able to crack that model.
So this is going to be a new test for you though, right?
We're already doing it. We have 3 people. It's been very successful. Okay. Now, since we did that pilot with the initial 3 people, now we're doing 8.
Okay.
Yeah.
And are those just acquisitions or Dispo too?
Right now it's all acquisitions, but we will be hiring Dispo.
So if you have 16 acquisitions, how many Dispo do you need for that?
Right now that's our team size total, 16.
Okay, so that's acquisitions and Dispo.
Correct.
So what's the makeup of that? Is it 1-to-1 or is it?
No, like our Dispo can, for every like 2 acquisitions, there's usually a Dispo.
Okay, so 2-to-1. So
correct.
It's like, I don't know, 10 and 5-ish.
Yeah, we hire based on, what's going on too, because we have a dedicated person just for novations now.
Got it.
Because if you guys are doing novations and wholesale, what you're going to realize is novations is a lot of paper pushing. It's a lot of administrative work.
It's a TC job.
It's a TC job. And if you're having your sales guys do that, your dispositions.
They're going to be pissed.
Correct. And so we separated that out, and it made the organization flow much smoother.
Right. So how much do you have to spend a month to give, like, to feed that many salespeople?
I mean, 60,000 a month and, paid marketing.
Got it.
Yeah.
And that's just across all the, the places that you're in and everything.
Correct.
Okay.
Yep.
I've always wondered this with guys who are high volume. How many leads are you trying to get per rep?
Great question. So this is where we screwed up a lot.
You gave him too many leads.
Yes,
I already
of
know
course.
the problem.
You know that, but we experimented with the sweet spot for
That's why I'm asking
years.
you, what's the sweet spot?
It's 20.
Okay.
20 leads per week.
Per week.
Per week.
Okay.
20 new leads per week. So
It's about 4 a day.
4 a day.
Yeah.
Because if not, they slip on follow-up.
I
once
literally-
they go above that, then conversion goes down.
It's so funny. So I've always said, like, 5 is the number, just like gut. I'm just like, I think 5 is probably the number. And then, I say, I'm like, but I think really 5 to 10 could be the number. And then, we start generating so many leads, and I'm like, all right, they each got 20 leads. And I'm talking per day, not
Wow.
per week. Yeah, I'm
Yeah.
talking per day.
Right.
Yeah.
There's no way.
Yeah.
No way. Yeah, they can't
The
continue
sweet
to follow
spot
up.
is 4 to 5 a day.
Yeah, it's, because they're chasing too many rabbits. You're chasing too many rabbits, you don't get any rabbits, right?
Yep.
So
Yeah, we need to hire more. We have 4 acquisition. They're all in here. When you were up there, they were at lunch. But it's like, I also am a fan of in person.
Oh, I am too.
Yeah.
Dude, I come from an inside sales background.
Right.
So I love that in-house culture and having everybody there, having the camaraderie, being able to go out and do team events and team lunches. But what I like to do and what's good for the business are two separate things.
I know.
Yeah.
Yeah, that makes sense. So, what made you decide to go to Scottsdale?
It's an entrepreneur's paradise. So I've been going out there for years for events and things like that. And my network is extremely strong out there.
Yeah.
Currently, right now, I live my dream life in Cancun, Mexico.
Okay.
So I have everything I want. I live on the beach. I've been semi-retired for the last 3 years. And, I'm at a point where it's time to take it to the next level. As men, we're born to create and bear fruit and continue to get bigger and better. And, I don't want to ever be complacent. So
Yeah.
when I had the opportunity, and a few months ago, I had to renew my lease in Austin or make a decision, where are we going to relocate the company?
Yeah.
Where we are in Austin is the highest office rent in the nation, more than Silicon Valley, more than like Boston. And in addition to that, labor cost there is through the roof as well.
Yep.
So we made the decision, let's go somewhere where we, checks all the boxes, and that was Scottsdale.
Yeah.
Yep.
What about Vegas, dude?
Dude, I don't know if I could live here. I've been here 2 days. I'm ready to go home. So
You just too much fun.
too much fun getting married, conferences.
I know you already been. Yeah, you were here for a day and you got married.
I know
see
what's
it.
going to happen next.
I know.
Yeah.
I don't know. So, yeah, Scottsdale is great. So many, especially there's a lot of real estate guys out there. Yeah, it's interesting because I've been contemplating, not obviously moving. Like, I love Vegas and what we got, but I've been thinking a lot about the sales process of these things, and I'm like, okay, every time I've ever tried to spend more money, I always got less efficient.
Mm-hmm.
And, I don't know how many times I need to make the mistake to say, well, dude, yeah, dummy, you need more people. You can't spend more without having more manpower.
Right.
And it's like, I just always make the mistake.
Yeah, you want to pull those levers. It's so tempting to pull
Yeah,
them.
I'm like, let's double. It's great. Everyone's killing it.
yeah. Yep.
And then it just never works. You spend double and you make the same or worse.
Absolutely. We've learned that lesson the hard way many times as well.
So what about Novations? I've been talking about that a lot recently. And, we made a switch to, kind of change our pitch to focusing on the Novation price first. How are you guys doing it?
We still anchor with cash.
Yep.
And then if that doesn't work, then we'll hit them with Novation. So Novation sounds a lot better after you
Have a
anchor them
low
with a
ball.
cash price.
How many, like what percentage of your deals would you say are Novation versus cash?
Right now it's 50-50. We're still crushing wholesale.
Yeah.
Yeah. Wholesale is a great strategy still to this day.
Do you guys flip anything?
We do. We flip property all over the nation as well. We have rental property all over the nation. So
What would make you flip, I guess, like in all these different places?
I mean, the deal spreads and being able to, we are in an area that we're confident in the pending percentage and the ARV, and we've got a great deal. We'll look at, how long is it going to take to do the project? How much is it going to cost? What is the risk or reward ratio?
Right.
And if it measures out, then we'll go ahead and get a hard money loan going, get a contractor, or we'll get an inspection, get a contractor, and we'll rock and roll.
So would you say that when you do flip, most are like true flips, or are they more like wholesales?
Wholesale. Well, so my definition of a wholesale is basically kitchen, bathrooms, floor, paint, maybe roof, AC.
I don't think that's a full flip for us out here.
Yeah. But we try to keep it as minimal as possible. Like, we love the hotels where we could just literally close on them.
That's what I'm saying. That's what I'm thinking of as a whole.
Do a make
Clean it out.
ready and
Yeah. So then you are doing pretty much like big normal flips in the way we would just like, because I think that's why a lot of people like Vegas and Arizona and everything, is because what you just described is a full flip for us.
40K and under on the rehab is
Yeah.
usually what we're trying to.
Yeah, I mean, 40K is like a full flip for us on most houses in Vegas, because we don't have older homes. We don't have to replace like all this crap that, these homes in the Midwest need to get replaced, and
Right.
older homes.
Right.
Yeah.
That makes total sense.
So, with that, I mean, obviously you guys been doing this a long time. You kind of like, obviously you've adapted the model over the years to, focusing on certain pockets when those pockets are hot and everything else. Is the goal to just keep growing that business bigger and bigger, or like what's the plan?
Yeah. So wholesaling and flipping is a great vehicle. Like when you're, broke in your mom's basement and you're trying to make, multiple seven figures.
Yeah.
Like going to seven figures is great. Can you scale it to 8, 9 figures? Yes, maybe. But is it the best vehicle to scale? Right. I equate, if you're going to try to scale a wholesale company to like multiple 8 figures, it's like trying to make a Kia go 220 miles an hour. Can we do it? Yes, we can. But is it the smartest? Like, we might as well just get a Ferrari.
Right.
So, we have right now we're actively buying businesses in addition to buying real estate. So staying in the same lane, and it's great because once you understand and you can be as successful at real estate investing, wholesaling, those same skills are transferable to almost any other industry. Mm-hmm. So we are actively buying businesses right now. We have our coaching and education brand, but our real estate brand, yes, I want it to continue to grow, but I want it to go. I care more about the bottom line than I care about the top line.
Right.
Put it that way.
Right. So your concern maybe isn't so much like, dude, we got to get this thing to, like you said, multiple 8 figures or whatever. Your concern is like the overall Nick
Health of the
Perry
business
ecosystem
Exactly.
of like, hey, you know what? Because that's kind of like where I was at for a while. In 2020, I had done 100 plus deals in 2018 and 2019. And I'm like, but at the time I wasn't wholesaling at all. I was just flipping. I was like, I really don't want to do more than 100 flips. Like, this is like a lot of work. And, I can make a couple $1,000,000 and it's all good. But like, I'm going to focus on other like higher opportunity vehicles. And at that time, I felt like social media was a massive opportunity that people just didn't really get yet. And I saw like TikTok and I saw YouTube. And as you know, most real estate investors weren't taking any of that seriously. And I was like, I'm going to just spend some time here and make some videos and see what happens.
Yeah.
And then it popped off and friggin' led to so many like crazy opportunities. And it was the right move. Would my like wholesale business or flip business been further along had I just only stayed there? Probably, for sure. But would that have been the best use of my time and energy and everything else? And I think that's like kind of like what you're describing.
I agree 100%. You know, like for us, like success for our wholesaling business is $6 million a year, 40% profit margin.
That's
Happy.
it. That's like, if we hit those, we're square.
Correct.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's a mature, stabilized wholesale company, in my opinion.
Yeah.
And then continue to build on. I mean, we're going to continue to, you know, do other avenues of real estate.
Yeah.
You know, bolt on lending and things like that. But we're focused really hard right now on hitting that, you know, 40% plus profit margin, making sure our education brand continues to grow and our members are served and over delivered to.
Yep.
And also buying businesses.
I've thought about that with the wholesale, you know, as far as like getting profit margins higher, because obviously like the biggest expense in a wholesale business is marketing at the end of the day for most people.
Marketing, or usually it's payroll.
Well, payroll, yeah.
Yeah.
Because if you get enough deals, then you got a lot of commissions, right?
Right. And if you got an in-house staff like this and you're paying them.
Yeah.
You know.
Exactly.
Right.
Well, thankfully for me, it's like my staff covers like lots of different things. It's like, okay, you know, this person's doing education and, you know, well, like social media, for example, covers everything we do. You
Right.
know? Even my marketing department, it's funny because, you know, we'll run funnels for WealthCon and the events. And then we also run our funnels for home run offer and getting deals. And then we run funnels for other students. And then we run funnels for, so it's like, it's kind of like become free.
Right. One hand
Yeah.
complements the other.
Right.
Yeah.
So I get like my structure is a little different than most, but even when I look at just the nuts and bolts of just, hey, like let's just look at the wholesale business as it is. Like let's just take, okay, $500K a month. What are your expectations of how to achieve 40%? Like what would the breakdown be for someone listening?
Well, first of all, you've got to make sure that you watch your margins. So for us, you know, you have to make sure labor costs is a big one, right? Why do you think we're going more virtual?
Right.
Because we were getting crushed is, you know, our labor cost was, you know, 35, 45% some quarters.
Yeah.
And that was rough, you know, because then you don't have like,
Are people on salary plus commission or
salary plus commission?
Got it.
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah, it's hard to get people to work commission only. Can you do it? Yes, but you got to understand in our business, if you want top talent,
Well, our business is like this too.
right? And it takes, realistically, somebody comes in day one, they're not going to start getting paid on their commissions until like 60, 90 days after that.
Right. The
And
cycle.
so that's a
And
long
fast.
long time for them to get in their head, you know, when they have a bad day.
Yeah.
And say, screw this, I'm not going to do this anymore.
Right.
Versus if they're getting a salary, there's a lot more likely that they're going to stay on. So what we do is we bring them on for a salary for the first 90 days.
Yep.
And then it goes commission only.
Right.
So,
Yeah. That's what we do too.
yep. And
Yeah.
then, you know, with our virtual team, that's going to help out our labor margins. And then everything else is very easy to control. Like we have a great marketing cost, a great general and administrative cost. You know, we don't spend a lot of money on other things.
Yeah.
Yeah, nominal softwares and things like that. But that is the way to do it, is control your labor and marketing. Those are the two biggest line items on your P&L. And remember, sales cures all. Like
Just get deals.
Get freaking deals. Like you guys are going to sit here and like, how can I save here? How can I save here? You never have a spending problem. You only have an earning problem.
Right.
Right. So that's one thing you got to look at too. Get more money.
So what do you think, you know, at 500K, do you think that spending your 60K a month will get you there? Or what do you need to, as far as marketing?
Yeah. I mean, for us, PPC has been, you know, between a 5 and a 6x return.
Okay.
So we're going to need to increase.
Yeah.
Marketing.
You'll need to spend about 100K a month.
100,
on marketing.
125K a month.
Yep.
Yep.
And then, you know, you'll have another, what would you guess, 20%, 30% in labor?
Well, that's with me and my executives getting paid out. Yes.
Okay. Got it.
With our pay, it will be probably 25%.
Okay.
Yeah, we're going to get that down significantly. From where it
Okay.
is now.
And then you just got the rest of your hard costs with the office and the
Yeah,
admin stuff,
Yeah.
TC.
and then we're right there.
Yeah.
You know where we need to be in terms of hitting that 40+% profitability.
Yeah. The one thing I always thought about first was always marketing, because I've just like, I know I can sell. Like I've done lots of selling my whole life, but like I realized like everything always starts with marketing. Like if you have nothing to sell, then
That's right.
like how do you can't sell. So I always, and this is like why I ended up really changing our strategy and looking at things like nationwide and, you know, digital inbound is what I say now, because it's like Facebook and PPC are very different than other forms of inbound, like direct mail and TV commercials, because I've done both. It's like direct mail and TV's cash conversion is way slower than the digital. And my theory has been now like people who are digital, they expect like an offer right now, this very moment, and they're ready to make a deal.
That's right.
Right? Like, and I think a lot of people have been scared about Open Door and Zillow and stuff, but I actually think they help that.
Yeah, they normalize it to the
Yeah, it's like, dude,
general
you should be
public.
getting an offer right now.
Right.
And then also too, I think they've made it, this was an epiphany I had, and I'm curious what you think, was, you know, like wholesalers would be so mad at Open Door and Zillow. They're like, and we were doing it too. We're like, well, you know, they're going to just offer you that and they're going to price reduce you and back out and whatever. Right. And the seller would still be like, yeah, but I got to see. And then one day it just dawned on me. I was like, they don't care. Why don't I just become like Open Door and Zillow? Okay, you want that price? All right. I don't know that we're gonna have to do it once we get the inspection and people go out there. But just so you know, it's a pretty high price. We'll try our best. And you know, now it's there, and they're like, yeah, that's cool.
Yeah, I think as long as you're being honest and transparent with people,
Yeah.
that's the most important thing, you know, for your brand reputation. But if you do that, and they don't care, then absolutely.
Yeah. Because we've even done that with Novations where they are very much like, oh, dude, I got to get this price. I got to get this price. And we're like, that is so close to retail. Like, it's not going to happen. And they're like, well, can we at least try? And, you know, because like, we'll be like, we want to work with you. I'm like, okay, here's the deal. We'll try it for 2 weeks, 4 weeks, whatever, right? If we don't get any traction, then you're going to have to drop. Are you okay with that? And they're like, yeah. And we're like, all right.
And then just run it, put it on
Run
the
it.
MLS
Like,
and
all right,
see
we'll
what
put it on.
happens.
Yeah, whatever.
Right.
We told you. I mean, it's no different than what they do when they list it, where it's like, dude, this is like, we're overpriced.
Right.
And they're like, well, I still want to see.
Yep. So yeah, your innovations is great because the MLS will tell you everything you need to know.
Yeah. Like nobody's looking at the home. We have to drop the price.
Exactly. That's the one thing that I think a lot of people, they overcomplicate in their head. Real estate is a commodity, just like corn, steel, copper. The best product, best price always sells first. Real estate is a commodity.
Yeah.
So once it goes on the market, the MLS, it's going to get bought up. Best product, best price always sells first.
That's why I like Novation so much now, because it's like, also too, what I found is it makes the renegotiation way easier, because there's no more when it's off market and wholesale where they're like, well, I guess I'll go list it. It's like, nah, fool, we're already listed. Like,
It's already been seen. Like it's
this is what it is. Do you want
Right.
to sell it or not? We have to drop the price. we're like at the end game.
right. If we take this listing down and you put it back up, it's not going to change anything.
Yeah. Like, let's just cut to the chase and drop the price.
Right.
So I do like it for that reason. What else have you noticed, like with your model, that a lot of people don't realize?
With our model, I think a lot of people overcomplicate the pay-per-click.
Okay.
So I think at a very third grade level, I don't have a marketing background. I'm a high school dropout. I was a personal trainer. Yeah, before I was in real estate.
Okay. So that's why you're jacked.
I'm working on it. Yeah. But the expertise that the agencies portray to the general public is they terrify them. They're like, they make it seem so complicated and, you know, it's some Wizard of Oz behind a curtain doing all this crazy stuff. But if I actually showed you how to do what we do with paid marketing, like I could teach a fifth grader how to do it.
Right.
So, you know, don't be afraid to take it in-house. I know Ryan and I were talking before the podcast on how you guys have taken a lot of, you know, stuff in-house now, and we are a big proponent of do your own marketing. You never want to outsource the lifeblood of your business, right? I heard the other day, it's the marketing in your business, that's the baby maker. And you're not going to outsource your baby making, right? So never outsource your marketing entirely. You can still work with agencies, but agencies come and go. And when marketing goes wrong, you want to be able to fix it quickly and internally and not be angry at somebody else.
You have accountability.
Correct.
For yourself.
You can only be mad at yourself.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's interesting. Like I've spent the last 10 years paying for marketing one way or the other, right? I've spent millions and millions and millions like on all kinds of marketing. Direct to seller, TV commercials, direct mail, PPC, Facebook, running massive events, running small events, running I don't even know. Like I've sold so many things in my life. And I've worked with agencies, I've worked in-house, and I've just done lots of stuff. So like what I have realized over the years is, this is my opinion, when you're first getting started out, right, this business is super overwhelming. And so it's like, all right, dude, I need you to be a master marketer, a master salesperson, a master comper, a master dispo person. That's what it's going to take for you to like get
Right.
from 8. And it's like, that's really hard. And so I tell people, I'm like, and I think that's like things like PPL have really kind of blown up over the years. And I don't even really like PPL the way that it's been, but I understand why it's worked for people and why, you know, people are attracted to it.
Agreed. And here, like, if you took it all away from me right now and you said, Nick, you got till the end of the day to get a deal. You got no systems, no processes, nothing. What are you going to do? I would get on a PPL company. I would get them to start just shoveling me leads because I don't have time to set up websites and all that.
Right.
And I would start taking calls to my cell phone and having conversations with homeowners.
Start talking to people.
That is the fastest way to get your first deal, in my opinion.
Yeah. And that's kind of what I'm getting at is like, in an ideal world, you would do everything in-house, right? And like, you know, everything we've built in-house has been built over 10 years. And it kind of takes time. And like, even with social media, I used so many agencies when I was, you know, building my brand. People would do my reels for me. People would do my, you know, podcast, and then consultants. And then eventually, as time went on, you know, you take bits and pieces that you learn from each thing. And then, you know, eventually you can build it all in-house. And so it's like, I think people just also need to like not think they need to be at the end game tomorrow.
That's right. Think with the end in mind.
Yeah, it's like, hey, it's great. Like, do your own thing. And also, too, it's still okay, like you said, to have both. It's like, dude, all right, I run my own PPC. You know, I buy some leads over here. Okay, we're trying this other thing over here. And that's what almost most successful. Very few people I see are like, that are at scale, do just like one thing. Like, that's like rare.
Correct. You never want to have a single point of failure in your business.
Yeah, because that's, even if it's in-house and it stops working,
it's still a single point of failure.
yeah, you're in trouble.
Correct.
Yeah, because I even see that with like cold calling, especially. Like most people who start trying to do marketing start on cold calling, and as we already know, like cold calling is just like, that's the number one thing that's got a ton against it.
Correct. Yeah, if you really want to, start off the hard way, start off cold calling.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Most people, I think, fail doing that. Just
well, they do it because they don't want to risk the money, or they don't have the money. But as an entrepreneur, that's what we do: is we risk time, energy, and money for a greater tomorrow.
Right.
So if you're not willing to do that, then just stay at your 9 to 5.
Right.
Yeah.
I was telling that to somebody else too. Like, and this really put it in perspective for me. Like, I understand as a guy who's taught flipping for a lot of years, like, okay, there's a lot of benefit to buying from a wholesaler as the flipper. You don't have to spend anything on marketing, make relationships, go get a gap funder and a hard money loan. You're into the deal with no money. You just go do the deal, right?
That's right.
And it is great in that regard. But the caveat is probably your margin's not as good because you didn't find the deal.
Mm-hmm.
And you do take on all the risk.
Correct.
So at the end of the day, you're flipping a $500,000 home. Anything can happen.
That's right.
And I've seen it firsthand. Like, I've made millions, I've lost millions flipping, right? The thing I've realized about wholesaling is, like, I get why it's scary for people because you got to put up the upfront cost of marketing and whatever you're going to do. But it's like, if my risk is only 10,000, let's just say, for I'm going to spend 10 grand this month. That's actually a lot less risky than even the guy who just flips one house and spends nothing on marketing, but you're buying a $500,000 house. That's a $500,000 risk.
Right. One surprise is $10,000.
Yeah. And guess what? Like, you might not make any money on it because you don't know what you're doing, starting out flipping the house.
Right. In addition, you got the market cycles and all kinds of macroeconomics.
Yeah.
So wholesaling is the best vehicle to start off, in my opinion. That's how I started, and that we still continue to do a lot of wholesale deals to this day.
And I agree with you. I think when I started 10 years ago, I just didn't know that wholesaling was the way it is. It was like, I guess I'll just flip.
Right.
Yeah. So tell me about like the business side of things. So you said that obviously, you guys are doing your wholesale, you guys are doing some coaching, but now you're buying businesses. Like, what are you looking to do?
So the great thing with businesses is, right now we're in a silver tsunami. If you guys have heard of that, all the baby boomers are retiring,
right?
And they have no legacy plans for their business. Their kids want to be TikTok influencers and the next Ryan Pineda, and they don't want to take over their dad's ball bearing manufacturing company in Cleveland, Ohio.
Right. So
I will take over that ball bearings manufacturing company in Cleveland, Ohio. And because what I can do with that is I can buy it for, 2 to 3 times of whatever it earns. So if it earns, let's just use easy numbers. If it earns $1 million a year, I can buy it for maybe $2 to $3 million.
Mm-hmm.
Well, what if I go to the other ball bearings manufacturing guys and say, hey, let me go ahead and buy you as well. So now I've got a handful of them.
Mm-hmm.
Well, when you get a certain amount of EBITDA together, so that's your money after
everything,
your expenses,
your net profit.
That's your net profit. It's very attractive to private equity.
Yeah.
So private equity will buy these things. It depends on the industry, but just use easy numbers, anywhere from 8 to 15x.
Mm-hmm.
So let's just use 10 as the number. So say I've got bought all these at a 3x multiple, and then you can sell them at a 10x multiple.
Mm-hmm.
It's the closest thing to legally stealing as I've ever heard of in my entire life.
Right. Well, you got to put the deal together. That's the hard part.
There's a lot of deal architecture and a lot of due diligence and a lot of risk that you take on.
Yeah.
But the thing is, my entire career has been building me up to doing bigger and better deals, and I've been getting better at doing deals, and now here we are buying businesses.
So have you guys bought any yet, or where are you guys at?
We have an education one
that you're buying. Yep.
But we're very patient as well, because I don't want to, I want to make sure that we are in the right industry. We can get a healthy exit multiple on. We are in a
because kind of once you pick that niche, you're locked in.
Yeah, you got to complete the roll up, right? Yeah. Or you can just keep it, but you're not going to ever get a high valuation on it.
It's just like a cash flow.
But I'm in this to do 9+ figures. I'm not, here to play small. So,
what made you like? I guess because I've thought about the same thing, right? So we come from similar backgrounds, and being in the flip wholesale space for many years, doing education, and then now you're saying, hey, you know what? Maybe this isn't the best vehicle to go do 9 figures, right?
Correct.
And this is the vehicle I'm going to choose to get there.
Correct.
What made you choose that vehicle?
Because I have friends, literal friends of mine, that have exited companies and completed these transactions for multiple 9 figures.
Yeah.
And are still continuing to do it. I was just with the founder of Kajabi yesterday.
Mm-hmm.
He exited, when they sold it was for $2 billion.
Yeah.
Well, what do you think he's doing right now?
What is he doing? I don't know.
Buying boring businesses.
Got it.
Yep. He's got all this money. He's connected all over the Silicon Valley. He could, run around on a tequila tour the rest of his life and never come back. But he's back buying boring businesses because that's what he wants to do.
He wants to just do roll-ups with his money.
Correct. And I was like, well, why don't you take it to the you got all this expertise in Silicon Valley. Like, you could crush it out there. You could become a VC. He's like, no, this is where it's at.
He thinks, well, I mean, like, look, he's an entrepreneur, right? So he's just never going to stop. So
that's right. Yeah.
He thinks that this is the best opportunity, even with his skill set.
Yep. And people with a lot more money than me and that are a lot smarter than me, I've been around enough of them to know, success leaves clues, right? When I was a personal trainer, I was making $60,000 a year, busting my butt, full book of clients, and all my clients are pulling up in Bentleys and telling me about their trips to the Maldives. I'm like, what do these people do?
Yeah.
What did they all do? They all own businesses and they were in real estate. I was like, well, I need to own a business and I need to get in real estate. And so that's what I did. So now I'm at that inflection point again. I'm like, well, how do I get to 9+ figures? And you get around, it's all about getting around the right people, and you start figuring that out. Yeah,
it's interesting. I've kind of also looked at all the different vehicles, and I've seen there are a few ways to go about it, right? It's okay, roll-ups. That's obviously one way. Creating some kind of tech product for real estate. So our friend Robert Winsley's doing that with Investor Lift. And, there's other real estate things. Kajabi's an example of that, right? They're not real estate specific, but creating some kind of tech platform that services the industry. Mm-hmm. So I've thought about that. I also have thought about, obviously, just buying a bunch of real estate and just playing the slow game, right?
We're going to continue doing that too.
Yeah.
We're going to do both.
Yeah, because, that's the whole thing. You look at guys like Cardone who've just been raising capital for all these years, buying building after building, year after year. It's it's slow, but it gets you there. Another one I have seen has been just obviously you could just start any kind of random business that ends up just being worth a lot, right? And then I guess the last one I think about is, and this is, I don't know where influence comes into play, but just for me specifically, I see guys like Joe Rogan get a podcast deal for $100 million. You see all these things and I'm like, well, there's also an entertainment aspect if you really could potentially go hardcore. I mean, I look at what Patrick Bet-David, for example, is building with Valuetainment, right? What is Valuetainment going to be worth as time goes on? And everything he's doing. Real estate investors, I found a brand new way to create cash flow that's better than anything else I've ever done. It's better than rental properties, Airbnb, my flipping business, multifamily. It's the best thing we've done yet. It is building an automated wholesale business. Now you might be saying, Ryan, how do you build an automated wholesale business? Well, what if you had the same exact leads that I get every single month? What if you had a sales script that was so easy to close deals over the phone that you could do it all across the country? And what if you could sell your deals directly on the MLS without a real estate license and without having to actually own the property and getting top dollar? Well, we do that with this new method. And I made an 11-minute video where I go over how it all works, how you can start doing it today. So if you want to go see that video, go to wealthyinvestor.com, go click the case study and see what I'm talking about.
And you're already down that path. So that you're right, in that same trajectory. But I think out of all those things that you just said, the highest probability for, myself who doesn't have a podcast I've been working on for years or things like that is roll-ups.
Yeah, no, 100%. Yeah. And I'm not saying one path is better for anyone.
But those are all paths you can take.
They're all viable paths that could lead to this thing.
Agreed.
And that's been what I've been just, like you, right? We just want to keep getting better. And we want to do it based on our skills, our passions, and just what we're just naturally inclined to do. And it's and I think one thing I struggle with is shiny object syndrome. So I get to and this is everybody with social media, but I get to interview all these people with social media, and then I get to talk to them off camera. So I'll be like, all right, Nick, so tell me about these roll-ups, dude. Give me the scoop. And you're like, oh, bro, we're doing this and this and this. And I'm like, maybe I should do some roll-ups. Maybe we'll do something together. And then it just inevitably leads me down this distraction.
Yes, that's the classic entrepreneur battle is shiny object syndrome. And it is a curse. You have to stay focused for long periods of time and see your projects through. When they get boring and it's hard and you're going through challenges and adversity, it's easy to say, oh, well, what about this, drop shipping thing? Or what about, it's you got to stay focused. Stands for follow one course until successful.
Right.
And if you can't do that, you're never going to go very far. And I mean, you've done that. You've been doing this for over 10 years. But
well, one thing I think about too is you just mentioned a part that I've really thought about lately, which is do one course until it's successful. Well, how do you know when it's done? Because you just said, hey, my goal, my vision is, hey, $6 million a year, 40% margin. And that is,
you never let go of one vine before you have another one
Oh no,
secured.
Yeah, I'm 100% with you on that.
Yeah.
But what I'm saying is, for most people, because I've talked to so many people over the years, it's like they get to a certain level. So like I even did this with flipping, where it's like, all right, we got to like $4 million a year flipping houses back in 2020, and I was like, that's good. On to the next bigger opportunity. Clearly, you could do a lot flipping. I mean, Open Door's a massive company. I know wholesalers and flippers who do tens of millions a year. They're rare, but like they exist, right? So instead of starting something completely new that I don't know anything about and hoping it works out, I could have kept flipping and wholesaling and just really been as good as I could possibly be, right? And then the same thing is true, like even with just education. It's like there are guys in education who do 9 figures. Like I've had Grant Cardone here. I've had Tony Robbins. I've had other guys who have legit done multiple 9 figures in education. And it's like, well, maybe I should just go just kill it and just destroy education for as big as we could do it, right? And so I think that becomes the hard thing of, I mean, we would all agree, you've had enough success in real estate or in education. I've had enough success in real estate or in education, but when does it, I don't want to say end because I don't think it'll ever end, but like, when is it like, stop doing that? Well, not stop, but adding this new thing. You know what I'm saying?
Absolutely. So I think it's a kind of like, this probably resonate for a lot of people watching this as well, is like, when should I quit my full-time job? Right?
Yeah.
It's when you have enough in reserves and you're making enough money from your new thing in order to justify being able to wind that down and go do something else.
Right.
Until you've successfully done that and get a proof of concept, you have no business quitting what brought you to the dance.
Right. Well, I guess then the only difference would be with your 9 to 5, there's a cap to what that can be. And then, so I guess if we're using our examples here, it's like, okay.
Fair enough. I'll answer that.
Yeah.
So what are your core values? Like if your core values are like, dude, I love being in front of these cameras every single day. It energizes me. This is what I want to do every single day. I wake up, help people. That is amazing.
Yeah.
Or maybe you're like, you know what? I want to be the guy that puts these deals together and makes the companies better. It really comes down to what lights you up at the end of the day.
Right. Yeah, because you could go try and build, let's just say wholesale, right? And, it's at 5 million. And then you're like, all right, I need to get this thing to 20 million. And it's like, man, this is going to be a freaking headache trying to get this thing. Yeah, I don't want to do that. It's like you count the cost and then you're like, man, is there an easier way to get to 20 million? And that becomes the thing too, where it's like, every 20 million is different, right? You got a recurring revenue business in certain industry, especially tech. Well, $20 million business in tech is worth a lot more than a $20 million wholesale business.
Absolutely. Yeah. So you got to decide, we only have a certain amount of time on this planet. So the thing is decide. We just gave you a bunch of options that you can, go out and pick for, figure out what resonates with you and your core values, pick that path and then stick in it and, take it to the top.
So do you think your roll-up niche is going to be education or?
I'm working on an education one right now.
Yeah.
That'll be my first one.
So you're not going to focus on anything else?
No, not right now. I'm doing that. Once I do that, then I will move to like home services is phenomenal right now.
Yeah.
That's a phenomenal place to be in, whether it's, roofing, HVAC, electrical, etc. Great niches to be in. That's what private equity loves. They love that blue collar stuff right now.
Yeah, Tommy Mello, who's out in Scottsdale.
A1 Garage Door.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's been on the show, and just hearing him talk about it, I think they sold for $600 million.
Yep, and he's doing it again right now.
Yeah. Yeah.
Super young too. He's 35 years old. He's
Tommy's 35?
He's 35.
I've never asked him how old he is. I always assume he's older.
No. And he's sharp, but he's just a hard worker, uses a lot of common sense. Same thing, if you're watching the show, you got a lot of hard work and common sense. So he's definitely inspiring,
Yeah.
You can do it for sure.
Yeah. And I think that's what he's doing. He's just rolling them all up into A1.
Yeah.
he's just buying up garage door companies all across the country.
Then puts new logos on the trucks and puts them all into the same accounting software, makes it nice and pretty for private equity, and
then
sells
just
it off.
rinse and repeat.
That's it.
I guess what made you pick education as the roll-up vehicle?
Well, I never anticipated starting in education. For 6 years, did very well in wholesaling, but I just had people coming out of the woodwork like, hey, can you do one-on-ones with me? Can I buy your time? Can I buy your time? I would say, no. Finally, I got to the point I was like, all right, listen, I'm going to do, try to just download everything from my brain into a course, and it hit. And then we grew a community that's turned into like our community grosses the most amount of money, I think, out of any community out there. It's for experienced wholesalers already. We've had 650 people. We've got some of the most successful wholesalers. Some of the guys have probably been on your show.
Yep.
And in our community, and just very proud, for what we've built. So that's been something that I really love. We've been able to get really good at it. So now I've had just some other people just bring me deals. So I'm having deal flow come to me. And, it's just like one of those things that when God presents you these opportunities and it makes sense, then you move forward in faith and get it done.
Got it. Yeah. So would the plan be to, I guess, try and make obviously you're going to try and make them better, right? And,
absolutely, yeah.
Get as many as you can until you reach, like, I guess, what would the goal be? How many do you need? Like, what kind of revenue and EBITDA do you got to get to before you kind of like hit your desired target?
They don't trade at a great EBITDA,
right?
Education companies, they trade from a 3 to an 8x at EBITDA,
right? That's why I was asking why you chose that,
because it's falling in my lap.
Once again, it goes back to like your skill and your
I'm already in that sphere of influence, and so it's naturally,
just
organically happens.
Yeah.
So it's where I'm moving anyway. So it's an easy thing for me to do. It's just low hanging fruit.
Yeah.
So that's number one. But if I were like, didn't have any industry, I would be going into just home services right out of the gate.
Got it.
Yeah.
So, back to what are you trying to, I guess, is
accomplish?
there a target? Well, is there a target for the roll-up, the amount of revenue and EBITDA you're trying to get to?
Yeah. So right now, we're in a position where we're getting all of our accounting and financials in order. Like the target would be an exit north of 50 mil.
So you need to get your EBITDA to, 10 mil.
Which we're almost right. We're getting right there. Like it's in motion. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Like it's an easy, just boom, early win, right into the private equity space. Take that, continue
build
to roll
track record.
Continue to roll that into more deals. My mentor Kyle Mallion, he's doing 4 roll-ups right now at the same exact time.
What's the industries?
He's got salon suites. He's got a pest control. He's got mail, like the mailboxes, like at the FedEx office and stuff like that. And then one more I can't remember off the top of my head, but he's on track to be a billionaire, by completing these 4 roll-ups.
Whoa!
Yes,
that's crazy.
Yep.
How long has he been working on them? Like, what's the typical time it takes to structure these deals? And
he's already completed 1, and now I believe he's doing 4 more. This will put him in, to that club. So another 3 to 4 years.
Okay,
maybe less.
Got it.
Yeah, I would say 30 to 40 months.
Is that the kind of time frame you're looking at for your, like, how quickly are you hoping you can accomplish yours?
With the education one, like 2025, next year.
Next year?
Yeah, because I'm already right there. I just need to do a few tweaks.
Yeah.
Pull a couple of things together, and then I can sell it.
So get enough of them, increase the current ones you got, and then package it up just nicely for PE.
Correct. And I'll probably always stay on as a active person in my community because it's my brand. I put my name on it, so I'll stay involved. But I do want to complete that exit just so I can get that check.
Yeah.
And use that funds to roll into larger deals.
How do you think? What are you gonna do as you try to sell it? And that key man risk with you? How are you going to limit that?
So no, they're not buying me. They're buying the PPC and and they're buying a lot of the comp stuff. So we have people in our community that already teach PPC.
Yeah.
Because my time is limited.
Yeah.
And people want more help. So there's people already in my community that are teaching PPC.
Yeah.
On my behalf. And again, like I will do this first one and still continue to stay on as a long-term partner in the project.
Right.
And just sell equity shares.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
it's going to be a deal where you still retain however much that ends up being.
Correct.
And that's how they'll keep you on and the brand and everything.
Yeah. But I think we could structure it in a way that I can easily transition out over the course of a year if the next owner wanted me to do so.
Got it.
Or I'm happy to stay on too.
Got it.
Yep.
And then for those listening, just explain like what the PE firm's goal is. Like, why are they buying it?
The private equity firm's goal is they want something that is large enough and attractive enough to bring above average returns to their investors. So something that can, if it beats the S&P 500, they're thrilled. Basically, it depends. Certain private equity firms have certain thresholds. So private equity are they go take 401k money, IRA money, and they pull it all together. Or high net worth individuals, they put their money into these funds, and these funds have a fiduciary to go out and make good investments.
Right.
And so they're shopping deals all day long. And my company or Ryan's company would be one of these deals, and they would look at it and say, okay, this looks like a good deal for our portfolio.
Right.
And so they underrate it, they go through it, and they say, yes, we're going to do that deal. They pay for it. You get paid. They start receiving cash flow to their investors, and they're the hero, and they continue to grow.
Because I've heard a lot of these guys want to also just basically do the same thing. They're in it to flip it too, at some point. But
now they might. It depends on what their goals are. Certain private equity firms want to do roll-ups themselves.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Certain they just want to have a bunch of different holding companies, and they all have different goals.
Got it.
Yep.
Okay. So, knowing all of that, what's the, purpose for you of trying to go down that route? And is it, I don't want to say, is there a deeper meaning, or is it just kind of like that next stage of growth?
Yeah. So, we alluded to that earlier as I've been semi-retired for like 3 years on the beach, and I realized like to retire is to expire. You got to continue to grow and create. As men, as leaders, it's all about growing and bearing fruit.
Right.
If you're not doing that, then you have no purpose and your life sucks. Like being on vacation all the time is not a fulfilling life.
No, we are created to work.
Correct. In addition to that, I have, passions to impact the world greater than myself. And when you want to make a big impact in the world, you need a lot of money. Like I'm very passionate about dogs, animals. I love dogs. So like something I'm going to do in the next 10 years is to create a animal shelter. So I buy 300 acres, probably out in Texas, out in the hill country.
Are you from Texas originally?
From Texas.
Okay.
So get something out in Texas and put state of the art kennels and vets and vet techs and be able to help them when they have overflow from hurricanes and
Got it.
help with adoption. Like that's something that I want to give back and do. But how much is that going to cost for the facility I want? That's going to be a $50-60 million facility.
Dang. These dogs
I'm going to deck
have
it out.
made,
They're going to
dude.
love it. Yeah, we're going to have it.
These dogs are going to be, this ain't going to be a shelter. It'll be
It's
one
a
of those
resort.
pet spas.
Exactly. We're going to do it big.
What's your favorite dog?
I have a pit bull and I've got a Frenchie.
Okay.
So I love pit bulls. They're great dogs, but Frenchies have a funny personality too. They they crack me up all day.
Yeah. I used to have 4 dogs. Now a couple of them died, and then one moved to my in-laws' house, and so he's their dog now. But we have one little mini weenie dog.
Nice.
He's just so funny.
Yeah. I like dogs more than people.
Do you like cats?
Absolutely not.
No, I hate cats too. I don't think they should exist.
I won't go that far, but no, I'm not a cat person.
Every time I hear someone with a cat, especially a guy, that's why I was testing.
That's a red flag. If a guy has a cat,
I know.
that's a red flag.
That's why I was testing you. I was like, okay, he loves animals. Do you like? And then I was like, all right, cool.
It was a solid
We'll
test.
release the episode.
That's right.
Yeah. But every time I hear like a guy who's like, yeah, dude, my cat, and I'm like,
Oh man,
he's out. He's out.
Yeah.
He's not hired.
No,
He can't work here. He's out.
Don, there's something
Yeah.
off about that.
You know, my COO Javi, he's on the border because he has a cat. But you know, it's his wife. You know, she brought the cat into.
Oh yeah, if the
you know.
wife brings the cat, it's a different story.
I know, but still, you know, sometimes you got to step up and get rid of the cat.
I agree. I'm allergic to cats, so I can't. I couldn't do it.
I know, me too. That's why I'm anti-cat. But yeah, dude, I mean, what would you say is the future of all of this, right? Because, you know, we both hear it. People are like, oh, well, dysregulation, that regulation, this thing's happening, that thing's happening. I'm going to assume you're probably like me. You just don't really care.
No, I don't care.
Yeah.
I follow the law.
Yeah.
They change the regulation. I'll follow the law. What do I
Whatever
do?
the new
Double
thing
close
is.
or what do we have to do?
Actually, this is a good question because you have picked all the states, and this is actually what I want to know too. What states should people just really avoid with nationwide because it's just too much of a headache?
Yeah, like your West Virginias, Alabamas, Mississippis, any of those rural states with low ARVs.
Avoid those. Your
Avoid
fees aren't
those.
big enough.
Correct.
Okay.
And it's going to be difficult to move property there.
Yeah. What about like we've noticed this for us, especially with novations, like the attorney states suck. Have you seen that?
We love like attorney states like New York. It does more of a pain in the butt to do deals on the transaction side of
Right.
things because you have buyer and seller side attorneys and they complicate the whole
Yeah.
thing all the way through and take longer because there's communication between two attorneys and it's never fun.
I don't
But
even know why like it's
we
not,
still rip it
Okay.
in those states.
I just don't understand why like it's not standardized, just title and escrow in every state.
I agree. There's a lot of inefficiency in the title world that will be hopefully taken over in the next 10, 20 years by blockchain and artificial intelligence. And
Yeah, for
Yeah.
sure. Yeah, especially too. It's like you look at what AI and chat. Yeah, but speaking of that, what are you guys doing with AI?
right now, we're using it for follow-up. So we have follow-up that will
Text or call?
Text.
Okay.
It's not there for call yet.
We're testing calling.
I've tested calling. I pulled it because you're talking to a robot.
Yeah.
Like the latency's there. It'll talk over you, but it's getting good.
It's getting pretty good.
We're filming this right now in the end of 2024. By the end of 2025, it'll be commercially viable where you won't know if you're talking to Ryan, the real Ryan, or
Yeah.
the robot Ryan.
You know what's funny is somebody was telling me about this. I was talking to one of my friends who owns an AI company, and he was like, yeah, like, and this is what made me even think about cold calling and why it's like kind of going to go away, is they were talking about how the AI was impersonating Joe Biden to raise funds. So these scammers, I don't even know if those scammers are, it might have been the Democrats, which people would say is the scammers anyway. But nonetheless, he was talking about how Joe Biden, they
They're the
use
same people.
yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
I didn't say that, but some people
Yeah.
would. All right. But they were using Joe Biden AI to call people, cold call, and say, hey, it's Joe. We really need money for the campaign to beat Trump. This is back in 2020.
Right.
And then like, dude, it raised like tens of like 60, 80 million dollars cold calling as like Joe Biden.
Incredible.
I was like, what?
Yeah.
And then, now you see these deep fakes. You see like
Wow.
it's so easy to do this stuff now.
They can deep fake on Zoom now. So
Yeah.
there was a transaction. It was a real estate transaction, and the escrow officer needed to do a proof of life on Zoom because it was a mobile closing. The seller was out of the country or wherever. So they
Right.
said, let's do a proof of life. So they deep fake they got the driver's license, and then they deep fake the photo on the driver's license, and they were on Zoom.
Yep.
And it's lucky it was a really hip escrow officer, and she caught it. Like she's like, this is a little bit off,
Yeah, this doesn't look right.
but and she stopped it from going through. But that's happening, and these transactions are going through, and title insurance is having to pay out on
That's crazy.
fraudulent transactions, and
Yeah.
people are losing their homes, and it's crazy.
Yep.
Yeah,
That's one reason blockchain solves that.
correct.
But also it just made me think about so like the moral of that story though with Biden was that they put on extreme regulation for that, because when I first talked to the sales guy or the AI guy, I was like, to me, it seems like AI would be great for just like pure cold calling. Like you wouldn't even ever need a VA. Like AI will just hammer it 24/7, nonstop.
Never get tired, never fall out sick.
You could put any voice, any accent. You don't have to worry
Follows
about
a perfect script every time.
Yeah, no training. Like it's just, it seems like it'd be perfect for outbound. And then he's like, you cannot do outbound with this. You can only do it by the law to people who have opted in. And I go, interesting. And he said, and then he told me that story of why, because they used it for outbound.
Makes perfect sense.
Yeah.
So do you think that it's going to replace all callers in the next 2 to 3 years?
Well, I think it's illegal to do outbound with it. So I don't think it can replace cold. But that goes back to my point of like cold calling keeps just getting more opposition and regulation against it.
Do you think that it will replace sales reps?
I mean, yeah, I think at some point, yeah, there will be like a time when that happens. I don't know that it's in the next I don't think it's in the next 2 to 3 years of like closers, but I do think it replaces setters. I think setters get replaced in the next year or
Agreed.
2.
Yep.
And yeah, but at some point, yeah, it will also be good enough to close. I mean, it's back to what you were just saying earlier about, your Latin America guys. Nobody would have ever trusted VAs to do that. And you're like, bro, these guys are just as good.
I live there.
Yeah, like they're totally fine.
Right.
But, there's a stigma. And so that's why, people don't do it. And I think AI will have a stigma for a long time before people realize like how powerful it actually is.
I agree. But it's catching on. That is the future. And I think that AI is going to, I'm very bullish on AI. I think it's going to completely change our world in the next 10 years. And if you're not on top of it and ahead of it, you're going to be left in the dust and completely obsolete. So
the way this is actually how I think it plays out is, and I always use my copywriter as an example of this. So, I hired my copywriter, at least over a year ago. And initially, dude, we do so many ads and so much content and everything else that she was getting overwhelmed. And we weren't like fully tuned in with how to use ChatGPT to the full. So yeah, this had to have been like 2 years ago. And I was like, well, we're not going to hire more. Like you need to learn how to manage and use ChatGPT because like clearly it works. You just got to figure out how to become a good prompter and all this stuff. Well, now, we've never hired anyone else. And she puts out, 5 times the amount of content because she has this tool. And once again, it's not like a copywriter all of a sudden makes more money because they know how to use ChatGPT. It becomes just the standard of, you're a copywriter, you better know how to use ChatGPT and produce a lot of content. Like that's just is what it is.
Right.
And that's happening with editors too. It's like editors should be way more efficient now because of as these tools come along, it's not like editors get replaced. It's just that
you'll need fewer of them.
That and it's just they become more managerial than they do labor. Because copywriting was pure labor.
Using a lot of brain power. Yeah.
Editing is pure labor. But now with AI kind of takes some of the labor and you become more of a manager. That's what I think happens with sales. Overall.
Yeah.
I think that even closers, at some point, AI will get good enough to close. Everybody would agree with that. And it's not like it'll replace all the closers. I think it just becomes like closers get really good at managing the AI and they get pinged when somebody's on the hook. They get pinged, they're reviewing the sales calls and seeing like, oh, AI screwed that one up. Let me call them and go close that. That should have got closed.
Right. It's going to be a wild ride. They say in the next 10 years, we're going to have more technological evolution than in the last, since we discovered fire. So buckle up.
Well, that's what Moore's Law says.
Correct.
It's just that tech keeps doubling every like 2 years.
Every 2 years, yeah.
And it's like, dude, that's kind of scary because like we're at this innovation stage, but like, yeah, I mean, look at AI in the last 2 years. Like they were saying it 2 years ago that, hey, this AI thing is like going to change all of it.
Oh, it's just getting started.
Yeah. And you see ChatGPT and dude, Facebook had this thing. It's like, we have Ryan. You can have an AI Ryan now on Instagram.
Yeah, you can have your own AI avatar. You can upload all of your videos and everything. It could be a custom GPT of Ryan.
Yeah. And like the video Ryan, I mean, that's obviously like needs work, but I was messing with texting my AI and I was like literally asking it tough questions that I want to see, like, would he respond the way I respond? Dude, it was good. And I mean, the reason it was good is because I have so much content. So it's pulling from, like, imagine that, right? How many posts do I have on Instagram? I have, let's see, crazy amount of posts. 6,000 posts. So the AI literally probably pulled from all 6,000 instantly because it's just that.
All your YouTube videos, takes all the transcripts, all your Instagram.
Yeah, that's just Instagram.
Yeah.
So it took it all. It's like, all right, we know exactly how this guy thinks. And it was like, all right, hey, it was just like, let's try it out, right? And then all of a sudden it started selling me. It's like, dude, you should get into real estate. And I was like, okay. And it's like, I was like, what should I do? Dude, you should definitely flip and wholesale. And I was like, but what about rentals? And they're like, nah, just flip and wholesale, build up some cash flow, get some money in the bank, then buy rentals later.
Love it.
And I was like, that's exactly what I say. And then I was like, what does Ryan believe? And it was like, dude, Ryan is a strong Christian, or no, it speaks from I.
Yeah.
Like, I'm a strong Christian. I believe that God has a purpose for you. And I was like, this is crazy. And then I was like, who are your friends? It's like, my friends are, and it just starts naming people that have been on my show and stuff. And it was wild. I couldn't believe it.
I love that. Yeah, it's going to get crazier and crazier. So stay on the forefront of technology because it is moving faster and faster every day.
Yeah, and especially when like there's more information about you, it can really emulate it. And I think like I haven't even know how to turn it on, but I am curious to see like how that becomes a thing, right? Because now essentially that's, call it Ryan GPT. So, instead of having to go ask, you're like, I wonder what Ryan would say about this. And then you just go ask it. And it's like, that is the future. Like, because imagine if I could be like, I wonder what Elon would do in my situation.
Correct. Yeah, you can have AI mentors and you can sit here and talk to Elon because it's got so much information
about
on Elon.
They know exactly how he thinks, what he would do.
You could have AI Elon on your podcast.
You could.
Right. It's probably going to be happening in a couple of years for you. If
that probably is true. Dude, I never even consider that, but it's like, all right, tonight's guest is we got Elon. The AI Elon. We'll get the real one here soon, but you guys are going to love this conversation. We went in depth, just ask him whatever.
Exactly.
And people,
see how that plays out.
Dude, and people will probably like those types of interviews because they'll probably be like really entertaining.
They already have it where two AIs interview themselves on a podcast.
Oh yeah?
Yeah. And it sounds great. It's incredible.
That's even even more next level.
Yeah. So it'll be a insane ride. If you guys are not ready to embrace technology, then just curl up in a ball and wait for universal basic income. 'Cause it's coming. I don't know what else to tell you.
That's gonna be an interesting thing too.
Yep.
Like, what do people do? Well,
it displaces so many jobs,
Yeah, I think there will always be jobs. I think that I don't know that UBI will ever be necessary.
Yeah, I mean, it's just like the Industrial Revolution when they were getting rid of like the horse and buggy and putting everything in from agriculture into machinery.
Yeah.
Everybody thought they were going to lose their job.
Yeah.
But they just got repurposed into different roles.
Yeah, and like even if you look at the last 20 years, it's like, okay, the world has gone online in the last 20 years. Well, guess what? We're going to need way more, online type. Like, dude, I didn't need all these video editors and all this stuff.
Of course.
But now that's a big field, right?
Right.
And I think like once AI replaces a lot of the labor type stuff, right? There's just, I don't know. People are going to have so much free time. They'll figure out new ways and things to do.
Yeah. You always end up repurposing into a higher thing. That's the evolution of the economics in society.
Yeah, for sure. Well, bro, it's been great having you on the show, man. Great getting to know you. Where can people find out more about what you got going on?
Yeah, reach out to me on Instagram. It's just my name, Nick Perry, REI. Or you can find me on any of the socials. Same thing. So reach out. Happy to help.
Cool. Guys, go check them out. Make sure you subscribe. We'll catch you on the next one. Peace.